After school, the air was always filled with a sense of freedom and possibility. My friends Michael, Sean, and I would gather outside the school gates, seeking refuge from the prying eyes of teachers and the stifling confines of classrooms. Here, in our little corner of the world, we could be ourselves, away from the judgmental gaze of authority figures. Our conversations were a mishmash of teenage banter and musings on the mysteries of the universe. We'd swap stories about crushes, share jokes, and occasionally delve into the realm of conspiracy theories with our school guard, Mr. Smith, often featuring as a central figure. He was a looming presence, with his stern demeanor and watchful eyes, but there was something off about him, something that made us uneasy. And then one day, as we lounged in our usual spot, Mr. Smith appeared, casting a shadow over our carefree chatter. His sudden presence sent a ripple of unease through our group, and his stern voice cut through the air like a knife. We tried to reason with him, to explain that we were just enjoying our free time, but he was having none of it. Before we knew it, he had seized Michael by the hand and was dragging him away, his grip unyielding. We were left stunned and bewildered, our suspicions mounting with each passing second. It was clear that something was amiss, and we couldn't just stand by and watch as our friend was taken away. With determination burning in our hearts, Sean and I made the split-second decision to follow them, to uncover the truth behind Mr. Smith's actions. As we trailed behind them, a sense of foreboding hung heavy in the air, and my heart hammered in my chest with each step we took. Following them, as it turned out, Michael was led not to the principal's office, but to the basement. It was here that our worst doubts were realized. After following them further, he took him to a dark, far room in the basement. Opening a large iron door, Mr. Smith threw Michael in there and, closing the door, hung the keys on a hook nearby and seemed to vanish into the darkness of the cellar. A cold shiver ran down my spine, and I realized that I had to act quickly. Looking at Sean's face, I knew he was scared too, but I had to free Michael. With trembling hands, I reached for the keys hanging from the hook. I grabbed them, but a sharp blow to the back of my head knocked me to the ground, and the world spun around me. As I lay on the cold, hard ground, the darkness of the room enveloping me like a suffocating blanket, I struggled to make sense of what had just transpired. The dull ache in my head served as a painful reminder of the events that had unfolded, and I couldn't shake the feeling of dread that gnawed at my insides. Beside me, Sean and Michael's voices floated through the darkness, their words a comforting reassurance in the midst of chaos. Despite the uncertainty that loomed over us, there was a flicker of hope in their eyes, a silent determination to overcome whatever obstacles stood in our way. As we took stock of our surroundings, the room seemed to close in around us, its walls closing in like a vice. The air was thick with the scent of dust and decay, and the only source of light came from a small window high above, its rays casting long shadows that danced ominously across the floor. But even in the face of such adversity, we refused to succumb to despair. With gritted teeth and trembling hands, we set about searching the room, our fingers tracing the rough contours of the walls in search of any sign of escape. And then, just as hope began to wane, Sean's hand brushed against something hidden amidst the debris. With a sense of urgency, we cleared away the rubble, revealing a rusty door hidden beneath layers of neglect. It was our ticket to freedom, our chance to break free from the clutches of our captor and reclaim our lives. With renewed determination, we set about freeing ourselves, our fists pounding against the stubborn metal, until at last it gave way with a resounding crash. As the door swung open, a rush of cool, fresh air greeted us, carrying with it the promise of a new beginning. And as we stepped out into the sunlight, our faces turned toward the sky. I knew that we had emerged victorious, our bond stronger than ever before. In the days that followed, we would recount our harrowing ordeal to anyone who would listen, our voices a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. And though Mr. Smith had been apprehended and justice served, the memory of that fateful day would linger with us, a reminder of the fragility of life and the power of friendship to overcome even the darkest of trials.